Well, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Emerald Paradigm. This is Lune and Blanca, Lavania. I love Lavania. It's for whatever reason, I think because I
love it when you call me that.
Yeah. You know, I think that Facebook kind of like not ruins, but like you see Blanca, and then I end up kind of, you know, so it doesn't ruin it. I love Blanca too. I didn't mean to say that, but I always say that first, and I'm like, I think you're Lavania over here.
Oh, I love that. And hello and blessings to everyone. Thank you for joining us again for our latest episode of Emerald Paradigm and our discussion and teaching today. And of course, before we begin, I just want to say thank you to everyone who, you know, tuned in to look at our last two videos and our readings and our amazing blooper that was so hysterical. We love the comments. We love that you enjoyed it and that you were able to appreciate it. And thank you, Lune, for including it.
Yeah, I couldn't let it go. I was like, this is such a good laugh.
Was so
even if
amazing.
It was just for
you know
us.
what? I'm still laughing. You know, maybe now at this point I've probably watched it about 20 times and I'm not laughing as much.
Yeah, but it's still,
the first half a dozen times I was just as hysterical. It was just so natural and so beautiful. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was funny. It's hard because when you're, you know, presenting a conversation or whatever, you know, we wear different hats.
Yes.
So we try to be, I don't think we try to be serious, but we try to be focused, you know, because we could definitely go all over the place. But
I think it was hysterical in that we needed to have that laugh.
Oh gosh,
and, I'm glad that you shared it. Because these discussions could get heavy and we want to share the fact that we can also laugh and have fun doing this, you know.
Sometimes it's just what you need.
Yeah.
A little hysterical.
Yes, absolutely.
Pee yourself laughing kind of thing. I was like, oh God. Anyway, well, we could, our conversation for today is kind of inspired by a lot of the questions that I think that we both get on this channel. And on my channel, on your page, on all different things. And essentially it's the theme is kind of in line with how do you find somebody who does this kind of work? How do you become someone who does this kind of work? How do you find a teacher? Or I guess to simplify this, a question that I get is, you know, how did you become a Reiki master? Or where should I go? Where can you give me a direction on my spiritual path? I want to do this too. And or I want to experience Reiki, or I want to experience a medium or oracle card reading or something. So it's like there is I love your word for this, like saturation of these kind of practices right now, certainly. And that makes us and just we're all different. We have to understand that too. Like somebody who does my cards, who I love and I go to all the time, might not be the same person for you. You might, you know, enjoy your reader, or you might read a certain way and I might read a certain way, or whatever, you know. So when it comes to that, I think that we have to start the conversation there. It's like, how do you find somebody to help you with this? How do you find someone to go visit for a healing session or a reading or any kind of glimpse, spiritual counseling even, you know, something like that.
I think that it's a great topic of discussion because when we start this journey, it could be very isolating. You know, when we all start in different ways, many people gravitated to books and workshops. And the workshops are really great in that, you know, hopefully you can make a connection with some of the people who are attending the workshops, right?
Yeah, that's
you
very
start
helpful.
creating or being part of, I should say, of a community. So that's a great way to expand and to have a supportive foundation as you are expanding. But of course, at some juncture, you want to take it, or many people are inspired to take it to another level, whether it's to start working with someone or to learn. So really, it's kind of like the same thing as far as who do I turn to at this point.
And who can I trust? I think that's like a big part because my typical suggestion when somebody says, you know, how do I do Reiki? And we can take this in many different directions, but that's a question I get a lot. You know, where do I start? And I always say, you know, you should get a teacher, because it'll be, oh, I want to learn Reiki. Can you recommend a book? And while, you can totally read books on Reiki, you can read just articles on, it's not like Reiki specifically is a traditional teaching that has been passed down through lineages. So the core of Reiki should be the same across the board. Like the teaching of it, the traditional teaching is more or less very, very, very the same, because we have to teach those traditional things. However, we're all different. I'm a different kind of teacher. I have my own interests, or I have my own experiences, or I've mastered certain things in my own life that have different people drawn to me than, say, somebody who's mastered a different area of their life, so that comes in. So I always want to suggest, like, you must, for Reiki specifically, like, you must find a teacher. And I feel like we can apply that to pretty much everything,
I would definitely say, right, we should want to spend time. And by the way, even before I finish that sentence, there is no right or wrong.
Yes.
The way we develop is so uniquely unique to us. So while we want to compare notes or ask and share, we should also honor the fact that each individual is inspired and guided to develop in
absolutely.
A limitless number of ways. A lot of that guidance could come through insight, direct insight, through meditation. We may start making connections with guides or celestial beings, and feel that that's enough. Of course, if we are leaning towards, starting this as a vocation, as a life calling, as a mission, we may want to get those credentials.
Right, yeah.
Right? And then at that point, guidance, someone that you resonate with.
Absolutely,
it
that's
would
the
be
main
on
thing.
top of my list.
Yeah.
Your checklist.
Always say that.
Somebody that you're drawn to.
Yep.
That has a foundation that you can clearly see that they've been practicing, for a number of years, that they've offered events, that they have students already, that people speak highly, highly of.
Yeah.
In a beautiful way, by the way, in a light,
of course,
loving, supportive way.
Absolutely. That's 100% what I would say, because I think that the thing that we need to watch out for is anything that creates doubt about the teaching that you're getting. Like, if I've had so many people come to me that were like, oh, yeah, I have Reiki 1, but I didn't resonate with my teacher, or I didn't feel it, or whatever, and it creates doubt, and that follows into their own practice and their own connection. And it's not to say that teacher was wrong in any way, but that might not have been the person for them. It didn't match up. There was something that didn't match up. Many people, there's a lot of like online studies right now, and I do it too, but mine is very different. Like we have a 2-hour at least like Skype after the traditional kind of stuff where we actually just connect. But just to put it in the more, I think what you made the face about, because I make the same face, is that there really is no teacher. There really is just, it's just reading an online book, essentially.
You know what I love? And you caught the face, right? I love that you added that, that you have another connection with them, because I thought you were leading towards saying like these downloads where you don't even make a connection
that's
with
someone.
That's
what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I would make a face over too.
Yeah, and again, this is a delicate subject because, of course, with all the discussions that we have, we're sharing radically, our insight, our opinion, maybe, trying to still stay in the integrity of there's no right or wrong, and blessings. If you're drawn to something, there's no other discussion.
It has to feel right. If going to an online thing, and I'm saying online as in there's really no connection, there's no like individual you're connecting with to ask a question to but if that feels right to you and you have no doubt and you're like, I got this, like by all means, like we're not saying that that's a negative thing, but I think that we a lot of us know that can't, or it's going to be harder, I should say, for us to feel like we've authentically been as trained as we possibly can, and now we can work with people. It's like...
the great example, and I get really passionate about discussions like this.
Me too.
And I always love analogies. Imagine if you had to learn how to drive a car without ever stepping into it. And then suddenly after, receiving training over, 2 or 3 videos, now you were handed the key and told that you needed to drive. Imagine for a moment. And you know what? Again, there's no right or wrong. For some, they may be able to get in that car and do exactly that. However, I'm going to guess, I'm going to sense that many people are not going to feel comfortable because the comfortability comes in sitting in the car, in navigating it, and, feeling how it feels, right? And so that analogy is, I hope, equivalent to what we're trying to discern here, which is there's a whole different experience when you're making a connection because energetically you're vibing, you're feeling the person.
Right.
Even if it's through Skype, even if it's through, even the telephone. Having a conversation, you're able to feel each other. Whereas if the teachings are only coming via a video, well, yes, you see the person, but the connection is not live.
Right. There's no
it's not
opportunity to
moment.
ask a question or just get a sense of one another. Absolutely. I think that's super important to.
I'm gonna say, of course, that the best connection is when you can work with somebody, if it's at all possible, face to face, or even if you have one connection. But if that's not the case, then definitely a phone connection, a Skype connection.
Yeah, because sometimes there might be a teacher right next door, but you just don't resonate with them, and that's okay.
Yes.
I always encourage people to find people who do Reiki in their area, of course, like support that. But if it doesn't feel right to you, it's okay to go beyond the boundaries then of like who we can meet face to face. That's the beauty that we have right now. I think too, when we get into this kind of conversation, it's very tricky to get it very clear in some capacity regarding the certifications and stuff, and it's like, I believe we're all healers, I believe we all have healing potential. I believe that some of us are born and we just do it,
without a doubt.
And that is cool. And I 100% support that. I think we should always invest our time and energy to, learning more or experiencing more. But if some people are born with this gift, I think we all are, but some heightened, right?
Yes.
And the thing that comes into mind there is, what do I need a certification then? What do I need a certification if this is something I was born doing? And in that capacity, you don't, but you can't go call yourself a Reiki person then. It's like, I'm using Reiki just because I have so much experience in it, but, you could take this for shamanic practices, all kinds of stuff, right? And it's like, or mediumship or anything. And then that's another gifted kind of thing, I guess I would say. But the thing is, yes, we might have a gift, yes, and we can present ourselves as I was born with this, and if your clients or those who come to see you are vibe with that too, then you have no issue, then good. However, when it comes to somebody who's looking to get new clients, those certifications help because they show I've gotten as much training as I possibly can. I've worked with someone. I've been trained under so-and-so. This is their lineage. And there is something to be said for that as well. Not only in the comfort of the client then, and putting them at ease a little more, but also in your own knowingness that, hey, I'm not just talking about it, So, what I'm trying to say here is that some people are, and most of us are, just healers. We're healers. We hold boo-boos. We send prayers. Like, we do that kind of thing,
Absolutely.
So I don't want to make someone say, like, oh, you can't, you never got certified, well, then you're not a healer. Because that's bullshit, know?
Right. Yes.
But you have to play devil's advocate between them, right?
Yes. You're absolutely 100% right. 1,000%. I always invite people to recognize as well that we are natural healers. And I love what you're saying. When someone is in need, when someone is ailing, whether emotionally or physically, what do? We hug them, right? We rub their shoulders, we hold their hand. These are all healing gestures.
Instinctive.
That we're energetically from the heart, right? Offering our compassion, our love, our light. And so we are little toddlers. Right? Children. We see it all the time, you know, how loving they are. Right? Exactly. So we are all natural healers. We all come from the source. So now as we streamline, you know, and we talk about someone who may want to expand that to have a practice or to be of service and have sessions. Well, yes, now you want to offer, not only because the person deserves that, that offering, they will, some expect it. In other words, some people will ask, what is your preparation? You know, like,
how did you learn?
How did you become attuned? Who was your teacher? Etc., etc. But the way I look at it is, you want to expand and work on yourself, because this is what you're going to be bringing and offering. And I'm really radical about that.
Yeah,
one,
no,
you're
very uptight, like very like standing firm on that. Absolutely.
Yes, and I say that because I've seen over the years, and again, you know, it's hard to have these conversations without sounding like, you know,
what's your opinion?
You know,
right? You know, we want to hear your opinion.
On. But this is actually experiences that I've actually witnessed, where people receive training, say perhaps over a weekend or maybe even a one-day workshop, to become certified, and then they don't have the tools or energetically are able to service others, and they ask why. Well, you know what? It's gonna take a lot more than a day or a weekend,
right, for you to start seeing clients right away.
You not only to see clients, but for you to be energetically optimally ready to offer, you know, to be of optimal service. And the reason why is because we need to do our work.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the foundation.
And again, is this saying that you can't be a healer? Absolutely not. It's now coming down to the quality of healing that you're going to be able to offer based on how much work you've put in for yourself first.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely. I think that for me, there's a lot more than just being able, let's say, to channel energy that goes into being a practitioner. There's a bedside mat, almost like a thing going on there too, like how we treat people, how we want to make sure and be careful with our words, so that we're not like, Blanca, your crown chakra is too open, and just leave her at that, and she's like, oh my god, what am I doing out here? You know, it's like, this is, you might be feeling like this. Here are some tools to maintain and keep that, you know, balanced and comfortable for you. And like, you learn how to communicate with an individual and guide them and give them the tools that they might need to go forward with. And it's not just like, okay, you're healed, you know, like, you know, there's a power in both.
There's an etiquette.
Yeah, etiquette. That's the word I was looking for.
And again, absolutely right. And we need to be very discerning. We should be. Because, you know, much like a doctor, when someone goes to see a doctor, and, you know, their breath, their everything, right, is waiting for that, you know, prognosis or conclusion, you know, diagnosis, and the impact that it has, right? Well, so too is a receiver who goes to see a healer. And by the way, there are certain healers who apply the healing, and
that's it.
Don't give any commentaries, and God bless. That's fine.
Their style,
right? That's their style.
That's not
perfect
our style,
right?
But it's
and yet, then there's others who are empathic or who receive insight, because really they're not just healers; they're also teachers, who are meant to, you know, give some direction or tools, exercises. And that's where the discernment really has to come in the delivery of that insight.
Absolutely.
You
because
know?
It can be 100% disempowering.
Yes.
You know, if not careful. And the truth of what we're expressing, you know, telling someone that you found their energy to be a certain way, or saying, oh, I kind of saw this vision or whatever, that might be the same regardless of how we express that. But we're always, our job is not only to heal from my perspective, or give someone an opportunity of clarity. And, you know, I should correct myself right there, because it's not our job to heal. I feel that a healing itself is to give this person a balancing, clarity, put them in the best position to activate within their mind, their body, their soul, their spirit, their ability to heal themselves. So I need to make that clear right away, too, because I think that that's very, you know, we're healers, but it's just the word. I actually kind of hate the word. I don't resonate with it, but I do use it because it makes, you know, that's just the way it's like common.
Well, you know, I don't dislike it, but I like other words like activator.
Yeah, I love that one. You
an initiator. You know, because when you hear those words, it's recognizing that there's already an energy there, a spirit, that just an essence that just needs to be reawakened. Right. Or activated, which is why I love the word activator, because we're asleep, so to speak, you know. When we enter this realm, if our spirits sign those contracts to be asleep for a little while, and then, you know, after we finish those contracts, then, you know, the little knocks on the door from spirit, the yearning, right? The quench, the nudging, and those are all awakening triggers, right? And then what follows, whether it's working with a teacher or workshops, the books, everything now become the triggers. You know, almost like touching the button. You know. And so but at the end, it doesn't really matter, you know, healer, activator. Everyone is already an essence of absolute divine cosmic beingness. And so we want to just really emphasize that and just remind everybody that the healing process, whether it's just for you or because you want to then become a healer, is an amazing, sometimes very exhausting
through the process.
process.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
That's so very rewarding.
Absolutely. And it's needed. The reason so many people are being called to it is because there is a demand. Like, I am under the belief that if there is a need of any kind, it becomes filled. I need to pay my rent. Oh, I get money for my rent. I need to, you know, like, it works that way, which is why I think that it's the quote unquote wrong thing to do, to sacrifice too much to meet ourselves. Like, let's say income, like, oh, if my income is this, I need to sacrifice. It's like, no, I need to the other way. I need to get more of that kind of thing. So just to throw that in there. But as a healer, as a practitioner, we're not just activating, we're not just balancing, we're not just clarifying, we're empowering, we're saying, we're holding the thought of you in perfection, in all this. And that takes a mental discipline that is more than just the laying of hands or the, you know, it's you know, I'm a student of Blanca's. She is my shamanic teacher, and one of the most beautiful things that she has said, you know, if I don't think I could pick the but I really love is, you know, the stance, the taking the stance, but also knowing that when we hold someone, and I'm not going to quote you because I can't remember exactly, but it's not a, oh, you poor thing, oh, you're in pain. It's a, no, I see you rising above this. That's what we hold. And that is a beautiful effect. Learning, and I talked about this in my Instagram stories recently, but learning to remove yourself from the situation. I think recently I had an incident where it wasn't me, but everything around me was just nasty chaos. I went to Target, Home Goods, got the stuff, and people fighting, people arguing everywhere I turned, and, you know, I was like, like, get this away from me, like, ew, please, no thank you. And it's not like I'm gonna get involved and be like, you guys need to calm down, or you know, but what do? I heighten my alignment, I focus, and I bring myself in, and I send out what I call, like, my Buddha wave, you know. And what does that do for a circumstance? So there's a lot that goes into being of this this path of this you know, energetic magic maker over here, you know, conducting through their
I
thoughts, through our energy, through our
Yes.
hands, through our directions, through our how we present ourselves, everything, you know. So
I love what you're saying. I love it, love it, love it. And again, you know, well, can we really learn all of this by reading a book or so? And the answer is maybe not. Maybe, but maybe
it's
not.
certainly there,
Because
but it's
there's
not.
many different facets, you know, garbs or like the onion layers that we keep adding to this, that keep, you know, aligning us higher and higher, you know, whereas if we don't apply all of them, then we may not reach those pivotal high points, like you're saying, taking the stance. There you go. Like, what does that mean? And how does that help? And how can it make a difference? And the answer is a lot, right?
A lot. And we're not saying there's no action. I always want to like put this in. It's not just I'm sending my prayers. It's because I think that the argument that people come back at me with that for can be like, oh, you just one of those people just send prayers. Well, we need action. It's like, that's not, I'm not saying there's one versus the other. Like, I'm not, they're separate. You know, sometimes action is needed. And sometimes, you know, with the Buddha vibe. And sometimes all we can do is the Buddha vibe. And we have to use discernment before we get involved in some messy, you know, argument of two old men in the Target parking lot.
Yes.
Or if we're like, no, I'll just Buddha this one. You know, like
you know, which reminds me, and this may be sort of veering off a little bit, but I get a little cuckoo when I read, when I see or read that, you know, everything is happening because it's a reflection of us, you know, because while there is truth to that, you know, I think that we need to take that very deep, which we don't always do, and take it literal, and then assume that because it's a literal statement, it has to then be a reflection of us. Oh wow, so then that must mean I'm in this place. Like as an example, you say you went to Target and all this chaos was going on around you. Well, if we take that statement of everything's a reflection of you, then that means that you must have been messed up.
Right, yeah.
Because if not, then why were you drawing all those people?
Right.
Well, that's one way, right? And the other way is to look at it, which is the way I love to invite people, you know, the beloveds to look at it, is no, it's not literally or always a reflection. It's what it is an invitation. Yes. What it is the challenge from the highest self in asking you, what are you going to choose in this state? And now we could see how that works.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because let's take that example for a minute backwards again, you know, what I just said. In one, you can walk away disempowered and say like, oh, this is a reflection of me, so wait a minute, I must be in a bad. That leaves you what?
Yeah.
Not feeling great.
Yeah.
Guilt.
Drop down to that level with them.
Pointing the finger at self. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't take an inventory and see,
we
right?
need to reflect.
Of course, dot our I's and cross our T's to see if there is something that we're contributing to that experience. However, it's not always that. And a lot of times it's more about you challenging you. Yes?
Yeah, no, totally.
And saying, what am I going to choose to be in this moment? And that's where the empowerment really comes. And the change, I feel like that brings about, if you're picturing like paints or something like in, you know, when you have like you're painting and you dip your paintbrush in and it makes the color or whatever. If you've got like this color, this energetic color that you're walking into in Target and it's red, let's say, you know, if I come in there with my blue over here, we're going to get cozy with this purple, you know, like I'm going to affect, we're making a huge effect on everything, even when we don't think we are, by being true, authentic to ourselves. And those are things that we develop just in general on our spiritual paths, but through teaching, through experiencing, from working with other people, and books, of course, and any process of divination, you know, like cards or whatever we do, it builds up so that it's not me being like, oh, you're right, there aren't enough registers open right now. You know, it's me being like,
I'm chilling, you know, like I got this, and I'm just gonna send out my wave right now. So enjoy, you're welcome, you know, like kind of thing. It's beautiful. It's a really beautiful path to be on.
And you know what? It's not about being Pollyannic either, because, you know, I hear that word, or I heard it throughout the years for myself, like, oh, Blanca, you know, like, really, it's not really all that pretty or nicey nice. Well, it can be, believe it or not, because, again, it's a matter of perception, you know, and if you choose to look at yourself and say, what can I choose to be in any moment? You just took the reins amidst whatever situation. And if you ask me, that's very empowering.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so it doesn't really matter at that point what is going on. What matters is how you're choosing to apply that, to address that, and where you're choosing to be from, you know, like act from energetically. That's going to make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And by doing that, you smile or you do something, and it's contagious, and you know, you hold the door for someone. I hold the door for people here. They're like, oh my God. You know, it's like, I'm from Jersey. We hold the door there. Staten Island, we don't really hold doors for people kind of thing.
Yes.
So like those little things like are activating you, and you're happier and you're sharing. I had something to say and it just kind of like went away, but I think it's going to come back. Let me see. Was like and when we were talking about reflection, like before, you know, look, is it me attracting this? Is there something going on? There is something that comes from teaching and books and the work that we do for ourselves that enables us to actually look at ourselves, like to actually see. And then when we can acknowledge that, then we can turn our red to blue, or we can't, you know, it's still back in your power, even if you do look and find something that you're like, oh, you know what, yeah, I am bringing this stressful energy. This I see so often manifesting in traffic. In how many lights are we getting, and how do we feel about those lights? Because sometimes I'm looking for a red light because I want to mess with my iPad and put on a different song or something, and I'm like, oh, I really want a red light. And sometimes, you know, I certainly don't want a red light or whatever. And I just see it. So like you can see someone's stress. I was leaving the office one day and I saw someone pulled up way too far so this big truck couldn't turn. They were like in the crosswalk, you know, so the truck's yelling at the person, blah, 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 blah. This person was like stopping short. People were pulling out in front of him. I was behind him like a little bit, and I'm just like, oh God. Like, I'm just like sending the blues, and I'm like, oh God, I hope you have a better day. I hope you can let this go. Because you could feel how stressed they were. And I wasn't even in the car with them. And I could just see the stuff, you know, so.
It kind of reminds me of last night that we were driving back from Point Pleasant. And a lot of people were driving back from the shore.
Oh, yeah.
And I just really had that heightened awareness of why I can't drive. You know, like I could drive locally, but...
Yeah, no, you don't.
Because there was so many cars obviously coming back, you know, home. Yeah. And
it's a madhouse.
Speeding and the cutting and the this and that. And I was just like... having connections in the car, just witnessing it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And this comes from, you know, like working with energy, being so open. You know, there's a lot of pros to that, but of course, the flip side of that is that, yeah, you know, it could be rattling to say the least.
Right. And that's something that, you know, that's what you would go to your teacher for, you know, like if you have an experience, let's say, you know, traffic might not be the best example, but if you have an experience with a client or your personal work or something just isn't clicking or stood out, you need to bounce it off someone, to have a connection a resource, you know. Yes, our tribe can be a good resource, but I love this expression, and I hope it doesn't sound too like snotty or something, but don't, you know, I love this. Don't take advice from someone you wouldn't trade places with, you know? And, you know, of course that's a bit bigger, but, and I'm not to say I wouldn't trade places with anyone in my tribe, and I'm not talking about my tribe, but I'm just saying, like, sometimes we're talking to our friends and they might be on the same path, but they might not see as much as you do. You might need sometimes we need to go to someone who has lived it and walked it and has authentically done so for whether it's, you know, a certain amount of experience or a certain amount of time or whatever it is. That benefit is irreplaceable.
It is. And, you know, again, it brings me back to how I personally feel about, you know, when you see someone living by example and that reflection is something that you know, that draws you, let's say like the Wayne Dyers of the world, you know, Louise Hay, these are like my, you know, those were my like inspirations. Oprah Winfrey, you know, right? We just love the energy and what it, you know, how they radiate, you know, inside. And
just listen to them talk.
The examples.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what we should look for when we're looking for a guide or a teacher, mentor. The name doesn't really matter.
Right.
You know, someone who's going to help us along the way is somebody who can reflect that energy that speaks to us, that is being an example that we are desiring to reach.
Right.
And that's very difficult to do if, you know, you haven't made some kind of contact or spend some time with that individual. Then how are you going to know?
Right.
You know,
right.
And
we can't all be taught by Oprah, so like in this case it makes sense that like the books, watching her, etc. is like a good, like, you know, I never want to discredit books. Books have,
I think books
certainly
are amazing.
Activated me.
Yeah.
Certainly, there have been so many times I'm reading a book and I'm like, oh my God, I need to process this. Like, holy moly, this was amazing. And but you know, there's also the tangible. There's also the connection. There's also, you know.
Yes. You know, I've authored 16 books, or 15 and a half.
Yeah.
I'm working on and I would agree with you in that 100%, in that the books, again, are like a trigger, right? That starts to awaken something. But a lot of times the books are the prep then that take an individual to another level. And that other level may be then to start working with someone so that they can step into that next place of being of service, of healing themselves at a greater level, so that they can now open the door to do the same. You know, so the book, without a doubt, the books, the videos,
it's the work.
Audio.
It's like the work you do on your the time you're committing to this knowledge, this experience, or just immersing yourself in these kind of languages and activating words and you know, and all of the stuff that plays in your mind. Absolutely.
And you know, while we're talking about, you know, how do we find a healer, or how do we walk, you know, into, you know, pursuing that for ourselves, I think that this conversation applies not only to just healers, but say, for example, if you're looking to be a reader,
Definitely.
if you're looking to work with a reader, if you're looking to harness your mediumship abilities or to work with a medium, I think that this is still very applicable.
Definitely, yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Right? Because I hear a lot of stories, right? About readers and mediums, and, you know, God bless the likes of the unpleasantness or the this, that, the other thing.
Right.
And we come back to, again, well, how did you find this person? What drew you? How did you find them? And the discernment applies into this again. You know, the integrity of the individual.
Yeah.
You know, I say that anything under the holistic umbrella should come from a place of light. And if you get the slightest indication that it is not coming from that place, and that it's coming from a place of controlling or disempowering you, you know, instilling fear, threatening, coming from some kind of dark shadow place, right? You need to get up and go really fast.
Yeah, I agree.
Or to get your refund, you know, as soon as you can, because those are clear indications that your highest field of intention is not being held.
Right. Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. I kind of wanted to just add too that sometimes we have to give things time too. For me, on my own journey, I was called to Reiki. I thought about it. It was in my mind. I was thinking about it and just looking for a teacher, couldn't find one, right? Like a year went by and I got a numerology reading and the lady was like, oh, you do Reiki, right? And I was like, it kind of like was like, let me look again. But since then, I had done a year's worth of meditation. I had done a year's worth of just like collecting crystals and working with them for myself. Not, with training necessarily beyond books, but doing some work for myself. Reading of about like the subconscious mind and different things like that. So then I look up, I find my teacher, and I didn't even talk to her on the phone, but I like connected with her. So it was just like, I emailed her, she emailed me back right away. Yeah, we have a thing, come Wednesday. And I was like, oh, I saw her in person. She even looked like my mom and my aunt. Like there was I love her. Like I love her, right, and when we all do, like she's got a big group of students, huge, and we love her. So it was just like, that wasn't the time for me, and I can't force it. And sometimes when the teacher doesn't feel right, but you're doing it anyway, you're forcing something. Yes, and you might need your own work to do before you even get there. Even just meditation, like a meditative practice.
Absolutely.
So.
And by the way, as I hear you say that, I love that you're saying that you love her. And the group, because that's so important. It's going to make so much of a difference. And again, there is no right or wrong to this. Sometimes we need to have that tough love, not necessarily connecting because we just need to have
it. Yeah.
Right. However, should that be the norm? I'm going to say not.
Yeah.
Because this is such a vulnerable initiation.
It's intimate.
There's
an intimate to
exactly.
It. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter at this point, whether it's Reiki healing, shamanic healing, whether it's crystals, whatever it is under that umbrella, that spiritual holistic umbrella that you're pursuing, there should be a lot of support, nurturing, and space for intimacy. And by the way, for you to feel safe.
Yes.
And that's very important. And you were making a reference. I say that a guru or a teacher holds your divine reflection until the chela can hold it for themselves.
Yeah.
And
you see them in their
perfection, in their perfection,
having the life that they wanted too, all of it. Even if they feel rocky, even if they feel like it's too big.
That's such an amazing gift. And I say this humbly but boldly because I'm saying that this is what I teach my beloveds. But it is the truth, because in that space of holding that perfection for them, they feel loved and they feel hopeful and they feel supported, right? Whereas if I didn't offer them that reflection and hold it for them, they would feel shaky and unsure of themselves and maybe unworthy,
right?
And there would be comparison.
You would be meeting them on their level. Then you would be like not being able to help them pull themselves up. You would be, oh, I know it's hard, oh, I know, like that kind of thing. Although we're compassionate, we empathize. It's not like we're not validating a challenge or something, but somebody who has seen that in someone will only let them see that too. It's not even like you're good because you're tough. It's like I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear that anymore. You've told that story before. What are you becoming? What is the next thing? And I've seen you do that in our tribe and everything, and it's so beautiful. It's such a powerful thing. I guess what I'm trying to say is that, we have this need to share, of course, this need to validate and to be comforted and all of that. But there's a difference there between but we're getting out of this, but this is gone, but we're clearing that away, and we're moving differently now. This is different. You have different anything to help change that person's life. Give them a tool, give them inspiration, activate something, help them release something, you know, but yeah, it's not just being a friend. It's more than that. You know, so
yes. And you know, there's also a level where we can become sort of disabled or enabled in that, oh, I want to read another book, or I want to go to one more workshop, or I want to get one more certification before I'm ready.
Right, yeah.
That kind of reminds me of Jonathan Siegel, that wonderful book. I always get this wrong, but Jonathan Siegel by Bach. It's a beautiful book about a seagull that, you know, is finally ready to take flight.
Oh, yeah,
it's
I read
a classic.
That book. Yeah,
it's
where he
classic.
would like fly along the...
he was
that was
afraid
a long
to.
time ago.
Yeah, it's a classic. And I love...
It's not thick.
It's very small, but
it's powerful.
It's a classic,
yeah.
you know, like for
like The Alchemist
50,
or something.
60 years,
yeah.
exactly. And what that book emphasizes is that we all get to a place, hopefully, where we are ready to take flight and not any longer be the student. Although we are always going to be the student and the teacher of life.
Of course.
You know?
It is. There is a paradox
right?
there. We're always learning. We're always evolving. We're always perfecting, alchemically, you know, burning it down and rebuilding, recoagulating things together.
Exactly.
But we have to know when it's time to let me get in the field now, because now my experience and my learning is going to come from this actually working with someone and not just certification.
The practice of stepping into, and of course in the shamanic realm, you know, stepping is such a sacred term, you know, literally, energetically, emotionally, cosmically stepping into, shifting into another state, you know, of reality of our beingness. And so while we want to keep the balance, on one end we want to say, you know, there's a practice, you know, there's a course, there's investment that we should make, right? And yet the opposite polarity of that is, you know, we don't want to be a student forever either, because the greatest way we're going to reach that next goal is by the practice of stepping into that. You know, because I see extremes on the other side of that.
Absolutely.
Which they want another certification. They want, you know.
It's never good enough.
It's like they're afraid to step into.
It is. When I get this, when I do this, when I have this. I always say for like my Reiki 2s who are like about to, you know, get into that, whether it's how much they want to charge or when they're actually ready, I'm saying, sit, meditate, think what feels right to you. Okay, once I've had, I'm just pulling this out there, 20 sessions on friends, family, and like kind of like, I'll say freebies, you know, like little, you know, whomever will let, where you treat it like an actual session, you know, like do the checking, do the this, that, whatever is in your protocol that you do, and then say, okay, I've done this, now I'm ready, because I told myself I would be ready. So it's like setting their own bar or experience level that they want to hit, and it's like, now you're comfortable. And I say that with money too. If you want to get started and you're uncomfortable charging this, don't worry about it right now, but know that when you have 50 sessions, or once you've been doing this for X amount of time, whatever feels right to you now, write it down. And when you get to that level, know, okay, I'm going to increase my rate to that original rate that I wanted to go for, or, you know, like different things like that. It's important to know that there is an exchange there. And that's another thing that comes up a lot in this, that we have to be prepared for. And we probably can't get into this too much because this is a bit, you know, but know that there is value. It's more than just the hour or two you guys spend together. It's more than just, it is life-changing on both, you know, whether it's the teacher, you know, you're seeing a teacher, or whether someone's coming to you for a healing, or you're getting a session. It's not just about, you know, it's not a product, you know, there's so much more that goes into the work. It's so indescribable
to, you know, and I guess most people would have to have the experience to really see the value of it. And I think that for the most part, most people do see that once they do experience it. And again, there's no right or wrong. You know, some of us feel this way and some of us feel that way. I've learned, especially since I've met you, Lune, and I've been learning and I continue to learn the value of the divine exchange, you know. And to me, that's always was an issue, you know, that I had to pay a very dear price for myself.
Right.
Because, you know, the balance wasn't there.
Yeah.
And so I would be tired,
Yeah.
draining,
Yeah.
and I've been retiring for 10 years, right? Because I finally realized that I wasn't honoring, you know, that I always had to give more than what I received.
Right.
And so finally getting that to a place where, no, I need to really honor, you know, the exchange.
Yeah.
You know? And so, yes.
Yeah.
And I would say we should learn to get to that point fairly quickly, because as someone who's been practicing for 20 years, I can tell you that it does take a toll.
Yeah.
Because the universe is not looking and saying, oh, you're not charging enough, or it's not thinking about the value or the dollar or the money or anything. It is looking at the divine energetic exchange. And it is looking that you're making deposits and there's no deposits back.
Yeah. And
you know,
like,
you're depositing into somebody else's account.
Yeah.
But nobody, you know, like there's no return on this side.
Right.
And, well, you know, there's a deficit.
Well, I think, I love what you're saying. And I think that it's very important because as healer types, we have a cause for charity. Like, we have a cause for selflessness to give. And I think that it's very beneficial to find a medium for you where you can do that, so that you're like, no, this is my charity. I make Reiki videos for whoever wants to visit them, who, you know, whether they're using them just for relaxation or they're actually like, yes, I'm opening myself up and receiving this. That's my charity. Like, that's what I can do. And I love it. You know, I love that work, and it gives me a place to express, and it's so beautiful. Some people might feel drawn to visit hospitals, hospice, you know, doula, you know, like some type of more in-person charitable kind of donation, you know, you could say, or contribution of your energy, because I think that we are called, we have a calling for that, right? And if that's not there, I think that or if we can't see it, even if it's there, but we don't honor the fact that, yes, that's what we're doing. We're donating our time. We're donating our energy. We're holding the thought for this person. We're holding them in this place of perfection because we want to, because we just love it. If we don't see ourselves as being kind and giving that much, and then we're not being compensated for our time and the value that goes into everything that we're doing, then it's like double, you know, it's like, oh my God. Right. So it's important to honor all the things we do, you know, to
I agree.
To mentally like get over that hurdle, I think is what I'm trying to say.
I agree. And, you know, I think that that's a tough one, and that burden is really being, you know, felt by the light workers right now. So as we move from that first level to second to third, so to speak, right? I think that light workers are feeling that right now, because as light workers, you know, and there's no superiority in what I'm going to say, but there's obviously light workers are helping those who are looking to discover themselves. So for the sake of that we're going to call them the frontliners.
Right.
You know,
they're doing the work.
Right. They're on the front lines of teaching, of guiding, of directing. And so if they can't hold the field of teaching, never mind teaching, of holding within themselves the fact that everything is energy and that everything is about a divine exchange, then never mind how you're going to teach that, or how you're going to offer it to others. And so I think that the light workers are really feeling squeezed right now, because we need to look at why we're creating a separation. Energy is energy. You know, energy, right? Energy. It doesn't matter. So, you know, to not value alchemy, money, as an energy creates a separation. And we're not allowing to invite others to step into the field that everything is energy. You follow me?
Yeah.
And so suddenly when we make that, big line that says, oh, but this is money now, or this is going to be expensive, or this is going to be unaffordable, we're creating the line of separation.
Right.
Right. And so it's not just about money, but we need to master it so that we can help others to recognize for their own alchemical fulfillment of all things in the future.
Right. You don't have to be completely self-sacrificing and live in some kind of deficit to give of yourself and to share. In fact, it can be quite the opposite. You are an important part of society, of the universe, of the master plan, of the awakening of humanity, and you should be supported too. And if you think you have any argument with that, that's with you. That's not with me. Like that kind of thing. It's like that's a self thing. And I know that when you're moving into the level 3 here, there's a history, and I hope that this is a good invitation for you to, get into it. But I would say there's a history in the past of considering perhaps that it's wrong, let's say, for that exchange. Like, it's wrong for me to do this. Like, I have some people, I've certainly read comments from myself, people send me of just like, oh, why would you be able to do that, or why would you charge for? And it's like, look, I don't charge for the energy. You have as much access to this energy as I do, but I've been trained to work with it, and I'm not working in a shoe store. I've made this my profession because this is what I'm truly passionate about. If I was doing something I wasn't particularly called to do, I wouldn't be living my true self. So I have to honor myself here. This is my profession. This is what I'm the most knowledgeable about, and continuing to grow in that field and stuff. But what I was trying to give a segue for is the self-sacrifices that I think that a lot of us did make or lived in other lifetimes or something like that. I don't know. Do you agree with that, or?
100%.
Okay.
I think
because I've heard it a bunch, but it plays in my mind for sure.
I think that I don't like that word. As we descended, from those higher realms, from those higher dimensions, from our God and goddesshood, which we know we possessed, and we descended in order to have this experience. We've had many lifetimes, and the word sacrifice goes all across many of those lifetimes. Why? For the sake of holding a field. For why? For everything. So there's been sacrifice in the persona, in our worthiness, in relationships, lack. Yes. On and on and on. And
I just had a question too. Would that also perhaps play into if we had past lives doing this work, and many centuries have gone by of this work being demonized, or so in hiding too?
Exactly. Absolutely.
Okay.
Totally in there as well. The mystery teachings and feeling, ridiculed.
Right.
So yes, secrecy, and all the the limitation that comes with all of that, right? And so we can see then how naturally we would have those feelings of not being able to have,
right,
whether it's space, freedom, alchemy, because there's lack.
Right.
And again, it's very in harmony with dissension, because we came from a place of knowing that we're absolute and whole, to descending through lifetimes to get to that field where this experience began, to create a foundation, and now to rise.
Yeah.
So going sort of like in a spiral, or
right,
full circle.
And I've heard you say this is a new paradigm. This is part of the reason, Emerald Paradigm has a lot of different meanings for us, but this was part of it, that we are in a new paradigm.
Yes.
And those who are being true to themselves, whether you're called to be a chef or you're called to do this work, would be supported. You are supported by your emerald green heart chakra, sending out everything and being in alignment with that, right? Is that, I've heard you say something like that, right?
And I love that you're bringing that up, because, you know, I've seen some of the comments throughout the discussions that we've offered. A few of the viewers asking, like, what does the paradigm mean? You know, what does the paradigm mean? We find ourselves in a new space of remembrance, you know, and just like I said, we were in that place of absolute wholeness. We started to descend over many lifetimes, many millennia, to a place of not remembering at all, you know. And it almost sounds a little like, why would we do that? Well, guess what? It needed to be an experience. The source, which is in all of us, had that desire to have the experience, which is why this is an experience realm, of what it would feel like to forget and remember. And you know what? It's a creator. And so here we all are as part of that creation, doing exactly that. And we've done it over lifetimes. And thank goodness that there is an upward spiral, which is the remembrance side.
We are in currently an upward spiral. And
that's what the new paradigm is about. Now that we've spent many lifetimes in that place of the void, of not remembering, of the shadow, of, you know, for many, the darkness, you know, asleep. We hear all these, you know, terms that define the same meaning. Now we are awakening. We are already. The space is here. The upward spiral is in effect. And we're remembering, we're being activated, we're recognizing, we're no longer asleep.
Synchronicities. We're like everything is talking to us.
Yes. And so part of that is wanting to heal. So as we come, you know, full scale, wanting to heal, or answering the call, being part of the front line, which is a healer, a light worker, a messenger, a guide, you know. We're all being called. By the way, you don't have to be a hands-on healer to be a light worker. Right. You could be an artist.
Absolutely.
You know, a writer, a musician. You cook.
Anything. You know. It's sensory. It's when I first started doing this kind of work, the term light worker really threw me off. I think because, like, I do respect the shadow, you know, like I do know that I have both of these qualities in me, or how could I even have this experience, you know? But then when I started to see light worker as not like, you know, that extreme polarity, but light as the knowledge of self-discovery, of soul connection, and all those beautiful things. And I see light workers as those who help people attain or open up to or remember some kind of knowledge that they innately have this connection to, you know? So I love all of that. I think it's really fun.
It's amazing about. And it's that and so much more, you know, a frequency, you know, a space. And I say that a space, holding a space, because I think of medium work, you know, or channeling, you know, the ability to hold a higher vibration, and how we all can work ourselves into that space. And so this is just an amazing evolution that we're in, and it's not in the future. We're here right now. You and I, and probably everybody who watches, who's being called to watch Emerald Paradigm, has some kind of, you know, yearning, calling, you know, nudging.
Or just wanting to be around people who talk like this. Or just think to, you know, I feel like that with books. Sometimes I don't even care what book I'm reading. I just need to hear something that empowers me or makes me think or something. And I feel like those conversations, even when they're in the background and you're, you know, halfway paying attention, you know, even that alone is like enough to have this, like, these vibes like coming at you.
And by the way, as we're talking about that, you know, we go as a civilization, as a humanity, through many fads, right? Like, like what's in trend and, right? Psychedelic pants, so, whatever it is, right? Long hoops, crazy earrings. This is not a fad.
Yeah.
This whole spiritual, holistic awakening is not a fad.
No.
And what I mean by that, this is the new way of beingness that has already begun to take a foundation, an establishment, and that will more and more because it has to. It has already been established. And so we're going to see a lot more of this blossoming. Thank goodness. Yes. Peace and harmony and
looking at things
cooperation, unity, clarity. It's all amazing. And no, we're not Pollyannic because, as you said earlier, the shadow, I love that as well. Look, being spiritual, being awakened doesn't mean that we're not going to have moments. You gave a great example earlier. You were somewhere and, there was this, chatter going on around you. And maybe even you yourself may have those moments. You know what I mean? Like where you may be the chatter.
Yeah.
Why may be the chatter, right?
Yeah, sure. I wouldn't argue it, you know?
Right. And so what I'm saying by that is that, we're going to have moments, or, this environment is going to have moments. And yet, imagine if those moments become less and less and less.
Yeah. Or that you're able to see what it is in each one. Like, there's certainly things that, like, get under my skin and I feel the discomfort in whatever way that is. But then it makes me look. What is this touching? What nerve is this hitting? What do I need to work on? What do I need to accept or change or transmute? And it becomes so much easier to feel discomfort and then change it because you know that it's touching something in you, but you have the power to change the things that are inside of you.
I love it. Yes. And that's mastery. We call that mastery. When you have the toolbox based on what you've learned, right? And started to practice. That now it's your toolbox. Yeah. And that's amazing because that makes you empowered. Yeah. When you can pull from your experiences, what you've learned. And I guess that's what we've, all along, right? Going full circle. And so while there's never a right or a wrong, we encourage that you invest the time because it's a well invested time.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. There's never...
And the rewards.
There's never a time that this has been... Because it's for you always too. It's just, it's so fulfilling. And if you feel called to it, it's just get some books, find the teacher. Can't find the teacher, look a little broader. Still can't find one, maybe it's not the right time. Keep it. But do it, follow it.
Stay engaged, follow the calling and make sure, or we would suggest, as you, whatever it is, whether it's a tool, whether it's a book, whether it's a teacher, that it resonates, that you feel a connection.
Yeah, absolutely.
That, it honors you and that you feel love or, the support. Because that's going to make all the difference in the world.
Absolutely.
All the difference in the world. And even, recommendations, believe it or not, I think the greatest announcement to someone's anything, whether it's a book again, is like, wow, I read this great book, or did you try this oracle card? They're fabulous, or this reader, or this teacher, or this healer,
this YouTube channel.
This YouTube channel, exactly. Exactly. Authenticity speaks for itself, and the greatest recommendation is when people are talking about it, and saying like, wow, did you try this? Or call this person, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we hope that gives you something of information to think about. There's some guidance if you're looking for a person, but more so I think the conversation obviously went more to if you weren't looking to step into this role and live this lifestyle. But I think there's a lot of good information there, for sure.
Absolutely. And we have an amazing deck.
Oh my gosh, what an amazing story. So, This was a gift that someone sent me, and I believe her name was Katie. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry if I'm wrong. I believe it was Katie. And this is a deck that one of our Shamanic tribe members has had, and she posts in our Facebook group all the time. And I'm just like, I love this. I love this deck. I gotta get this deck. I gotta get it. And I just never got it. You know, I just didn't add it to the cart kind of thing. And Katie said she wanted to send me a gift. And this is like the exact same deck that I've been like coveting, you know, out of all the decks. So it's just such a beautiful manifestation story. Just, you know, so many things going on there.
Right, of what manifests. And of course, people who saw the two oracle discussions that we posted.
I can't help but laugh.
Wanted us to give a little close-up. So
yeah. I'll zoom in a little. You know what? I'll zoom us in.
Mystical Shaman Oracle.
We're going to zoom in a bit. And over.
Yes.
Okay.
So that you can see what we're going to be working with.
All right. I think we're still in it. We're good.
And we're not going to do the Tate face.
Oh my
blooper
God.
of the last reading.
That was, well, don't.
Then again, I know we're not done yet, so let's get the coughings and the laughs out.
Oh my God, that was so funny.
It was.
I looked up the picture again because I was like editing the video, and I'm like, what? Why did we both think it was the Tate so much? But the T has this like back and forth,
yes.
Or the F.
It was an honest mistake.
Yeah.
Because yes, the calligraphy.
The font was.
Yes.
Yeah, it did look like a T.
Yes,
it really,
but
like,
you know, we should have known when we started asking each other, like,
what is that?
Like, what is that? You cracked me up. Is that like some kind of no land?
No man's land.
Okay, so let's see. I don't know why I feel almost like picking two.
Yeah, take two.
I'm gonna pick this one.
Sorry, they're brand new, so they're.
Okay, I think I have one. Okay. Ooh, the Hunter.
Ooh, beautiful. Here, I'll hold it up.
Yes.
Sorry for the. It's just easier than editing it later.
And so Lune and I always pick two cards. The Hunter, you know, it almost I almost feel like, you know, every card is like we want to say like it fits. Oh wow. But I feel like this really fits. The Hunter for what? For what you're yearning for. We've used that word throughout the discussion today. If you're hungry, you know, if you're searching, if you feel a nudge, you know, this card is reminding you, by the way, this is a shamanic, so this is about a deep intention of you are going to find whatever it is that you set an intention to discover.
And it will feed you.
Yes, right? Yes. And it is going to exactly feed you. It is going to fuel you. There's such a power in this card. Do you feel that, Lune?
Beautiful. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Look how trippy they are. Like, they're like, when you look at them, they're like, you see all these other things in
Absolutely.
there. You know?
I see the bear here. Of course, the Hunter. You know, go looking for what you are yearning for, because you're going to go hunt.
Yeah.
Go hunt for that next step.
Beautiful.
Because it is going to feed you. I love that.
I love it. Perfect.
Yes. Tate. No.
It's the... Oh, goodness. Oh, no, I got two. I'll take two.
Well, maybe you'll take two.
All right. So we have the sorcerer. I'll pull them both up. And middle world. I hope you can see. I'll do my best. All right.
Wow, the sorcerer. I love that one.
Yeah. Middle world was what came out first. And this is, for me, creating and acknowledging that we are this nexus between the two worlds. And in this case, what we're talking about with the... I'm just going to scoot over so I'm on the film a little there. But the nexus between the souls, let's say, who are awakening, who are not quite there yet, but have some kind of curiosity, your clients, let's say, or something like that, or your potential clients, or your friends and family for that matter, or anything. and then the more ascended. And I think that middle ground is really what we're talking about, of like being in the trenches. That sounds a bit tough, but in the field, on the front line. So this just reminds me of that, even though, I think that we could take this a lot of different ways, considering
balance, the middle world. But I agree with you. I resonate with you.
It seems like
it's realizing that, you know what, you need to be connected to the ground, to Mother Earth and the cosmos, and then take the balance of that and be that in this middle world, which is this moment in your experience.
Absolutely. And that there needs to be a comfortable place for people to walk into. It's not just, that those experiences of things being too much for someone is not always the best way to go. So it's like the middle ground, the bridge, let's say, to become the bridge, or allow yourself to access the bridges in your life that pull you into the next higher, I'll say, realm or stage or anything like that.
I love that.
And then
powerful cards.
Yeah, they're so beautiful. And the sorcerer, I see this as an energy worker, I mean, maybe it's just, obviously our conversation here, but we've got this like beautiful like face paint of this like rainbow prism, like energy looking like going across the face, the sun behind, this alignment within the self, and this person looks adorned. They look like they are authentically living and presenting themselves as that way, which is a conversation that we've just had before, which is so funny. But yeah, like being yourself, like being okay to say, like, this is what I'm doing. It's kind of magic, it's kind of this, it's kind of these things that maybe
it is magic.
It is. I know I feel weird with that word sometimes, but it is. It's real. Magic is real, guys.
And at least, again, we're going to always remind the viewers that there's no right or wrong here, that, our job is not to influence anyone, but we need to be authentic. This is magic. And, we need to start wearing that magic hat with a new sense of comfort in knowing that in the past has been ridiculed or misinterpreted or what have you.
And in like movies and, craft and all this.
We are magic. We are magical. We do have magical powers. Everyone does. And that's what this whole conversation is about, is returning into that space of knowing that we're divinely magical.
Right.
And the word divine then cleans it up.
Right.
Because at least that's where we're authentically coming from. There could be other words in front of the magical, right?
Absolutely,
but we are magical. You manifested your oracle deck. I manifested you here when I needed, someone for the space.
Yeah.
And those are just two quick examples right off, right? And we can do this all the time.
Absolutely. And there's like a mastery involved in it, and becoming authentic to yourself, like following your heart's calling, following what you're passionate about, and the mastery of it. Like, it's just like, just looking at this, I love this image. It's very let's say androgynous. It's not necessarily like hyper feminine or it's kind of in the border a bit.
There's such a sense of knowingness in this, and again, not sure if you can really see that. But such a sense of grace in the knowingness of their authenticity, of who they are. And this is where we can really kick some butt here.
Yeah.
When we're in this stance, where I don't need to impress you. It's not about arrogance, but this just deep knowingness of who I am and who we all are, and just being connected to that.
Right. It's beautiful.
Delicious.
There was no like challenge card here. Like sometimes we get one and it's like, have hope, like that kind of thing. But these weren't challenges. These were like, step into it. You got this. This is your thing. So I hope that these messages resonate with you if you're on this path.
Absolutely. And and so as we wrap this up, and of course Lune just said, we want to hear comments. We love your comments. By the way, thank you so much for your comments, for your sharing. We love to read them. And we thank you so much for taking the time to let us know that you're tuning in. I know that We still haven't completely organized the retreat, but some people have been asking.
I'm going to blame that on the retrogrades.
And that's fine. Yes, right.
It's coming.
We're getting a little step closer, and so we love that you guys are inquisitive, and we just want to let you know that we're inching into a step closer
it's coming
and closer.
Very, very close. Yeah,
and that's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Yes.
It's much more. As you're creating something, it is a manifestation, isn't it? From an idea to a concept to a plan to
every part of that is really the experience.
Absolutely.
I tell people all the time, they spend 2 years planning a wedding, and they're not really present in it. They're rushing, they're stressed, they're hyper, they're this, and then the wedding day comes and leaves in 8 hours, right? And so, really, we should be present in the planning of it all, right? The journey.
Yeah, it is.
And so we need to,
definitely.
all of this planning that we're doing and envisioning is all part of the experience.
It is totally.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we ever mentioned enough, but below you can find our respective websites. We both have different services. Mine's mostly Reiki teaching at this point and Reiki sessions, and Blanca's got some new stuff, and go ahead.
Well, I find in this retrograde I was sharing with you that for some reason, my gauge of creation is at an all-time high. I'm creating, finishing up a book, which I didn't think I would write another one, but there it is. And I think it was a conversation, or I don't know what triggered it, but I created or recreated, because I used to do them years ago, synergy oils, and
custom blends,
very custom, very customized to an individual's need.
I love that. Yeah, I love the personalized touch of that. It's
well, there it is. It wouldn't be different, or unique if they were the same.
Right.
You know what I mean?
All right, I can get that at a vitamin shop.
Well, and the alchemical energy that goes into right. And so whether it's career or something, a personal need, or relationships, whatever it is, all of the synergy oils come, attuned.
Right.
So they deliver that, and so you can feel free to come visit the websites. Because we do have a lot.
Yeah, we do. Between the two of us, especially. Nice little complementary energy here.
Yes, absolutely, young lady.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, and as always, we want to leave you with our love, with our light, and with our peace. We want to tell you thank you very much for always tuning in, and that we love you, and we'll see you next time, yes?
Yeah.
Love ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.